Good morning, everyone, and I'm very excited to see everyone today. Today is a great day for the city of Kingston, and it's a great day for me. I am the new mayor here in the city of Kingston, and for those of you I want to personally thank all of you for coming out today to fight for fair pay. Before we get started, I wanted to just acknowledge some of the many great local elected officials and leaders that we have here in this community. So I just want to, again, welcome Ulster County Executive Michael Hine. Our 1199 SEIU President, George Gershom. Our Certified Nursing Assistant, Tamara El-Zubair. Our Minority Leader of the Ulster County Legislature, Hector Rodriguez. And so we're not here all day. I'm going to read through this list if we could save our applause, and then at the end we can give one applause, okay? Ulster County Legislator Jennifer Schwartz-Berkey, Ulster County Legislator Chris Allen, City of Kingston Alderman at Large James Noble, City of Kingston Alderman Brad Will, Alderman Steve Shabbat, Alderman Tony Davis, Alderman Deborah Brown, Town of New Paltz Supervisor Neil Batez, Town of Rochester Supervisor Carl Chipman, Town of Esopus Supervisor Diane McCord, Town of Red Hook Supervisor Robert McKeon, Village of Wappingers Falls Mayor Matt Alexander, President of Scenic Hudson and member of the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council, Ned Sullivan, and there are many others in this room today that I just want to thank you for coming out and being with us today to celebrate and to really fight for 15. Now, of course, there is someone in particular that I would personally like to welcome to Kingston for the first time during my term as mayor, our Honorable Governor, Cuomo. Thank you. I know that I don't have to tell all of you that it is time for our income equality, to stop. The truth is that today's economy, there are too many people, especially those who make the minimum wage, who are being financially left behind. People need to work hard every day of their lives, but while they're working minimum wage, they're still not able to meet the needs of their family. They are still struggling. And these people are our friends, they are our neighbors, they are people that we care about and who care for others each and every day. But it's not just happening in Kingston. In cities, towns, and villages across the state, New Yorkers are being forced to make those tough choices. They're making those choices between food and heat, between putting gas in their car or paying the rent. They're working full time, and they're still having to make these tough choices. They spend their days caring for others, and yet no matter what they do, the fact that they earn minimum wage keeps them trapped in that cycle of poverty. And this is not just, and this struggle is not just shouldered by these individuals and their families. It causes a ripple effect that affects our entire community here in Kingston and around the Hudson Valley. With wages that can't even provide the most basic necessities, more people are forced to turn to government for assistance. As we know, this leads to higher taxes, a tougher economic environment for all of New York. So it's time for us to stand up for fair pay. I believe the governor's proposal for a $15 minimum wage will give these families and their communities the stability and the foundation that they need to get their heads above water and to actually live the decent life that everyone deserves. On a personal note, my background as the City of Kingston mayor has been to work at one of our local community centers with our most at-risk youth. And through that process, I have met very amazing men and women, their parents, their caregivers, their aunts and their uncles, who want to provide the best for them, who want to see them go on and get a livable wage job, that want to see them go on to college. And in order to do that, right now, they are working in our community 2 or 3 jobs to be able to make ends meet. And it's time for a change. And so right now, I want to be able to welcome up George Gershom, the president of 1199 SEIU.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you all for being here, because this is a moment when we hope to make history. A moment, yes, thank you. A moment where we return the state back to working people. A moment when we return the dignity and pride of hard work. See, the work itself is not a problem. We have millions of people in New York that work hard every day. They wake up, they go to work, they work hard, and too many times they leave that job only to go to a second job and work hard there to make a basic living for their families. And because of that, too often, rather than taking care of their families, their children are raised by the streets, because there is no one else to look out for them. And so we are blessed in New York to have a governor that has now said enough is enough. You know, in the late 50s, my parents moved from the South. They came to New York because as much as we loved my hometown, and I was just a little bitty nothing at the time, they couldn't make a living. They could not take care of their family. They knew that they were willing to work. They knew that it required both of them working in order to take care of their family, but they couldn't do that in the South, so they came to New York. And as a result of that, they were able to soon bring us, the children, to New York. As a matter of fact, it got so good to them until 11 years later, they had 2 more children, my siblings. I'm not so sure I appreciated that at the time. But the point is that New York has always been an aspirational place for people to come from all around the country and all around the world to be able to take care of their family. You could work hard and you could take care of their family. Unfortunately, these days, you can still work hard, but you can't always take care of your family. As you heard the mayor say, too many times the state ends up paying what the employer ought to pay. And so I'm proud to be a part and to be a chair of the Mario Cuomo campaign for economic justice. And I am certain of 2 things. One, that if Governor Cuomo, Mario Cuomo, were here today, he would be very proud of the campaign that we do. And 2, that our governor, Andrew Cuomo, would have never named this campaign after his father, except that he believes it's important and he's totally committed to it. And so for that reason, we will travel around the state, and what I ask of you is don't keep this to yourself. Talk to your legislators, talk to your community, talk with your churches, talk to your neighbors. Let them know that economic justice, the disparity that happens, the economic inequality that is happening in society must not happen. It must end at this point. As Dr. King said to 1199 6 weeks before he was assassinated, there is no such thing as menial work. The only thing that can make work menial is the pay that you get or don't get for doing the job. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to some of our members at Vassar Hospital and Mid-Hudson Regional Hospital. Shout out to them. And now it is my pleasure to present to you the Ulster County Executive. Our good friend, he was introduced before. I had pleasure of riding with him in the RV. Let's give a welcome to your County Executive, Mike Hine.
How about a round of applause, not only for George, but for all of our friends in labor? Fighting day in and day out for hardworking individuals, making sure we can put food on the table, making sure there's quality health care, making sure that our next generation can participate in the American dream as well. Now, when we talk about the American dream, let's think about what that really and truly means. An opportunity to have it better than the generation before you, an opportunity to make sure that a hard day's work is met with a reasonable pay, the ability to make sure that you can pay the rent, pay the mortgage, and pay for food and college and a whole new access to life. That's what's possible. But it's being blocked right now. And it's being blocked by a very simple situation. We haven't addressed this basic issue of making sure people make a living wage to put food on the table, and we can do something about it, and we can do something about it now. Now I'm going to share with you a very brief story. You see, my wife is an amazing human being. She's the executive director of a place in Ulster County called People's Place. It is the largest food pantry in Ulster County. Now, some might think they know what her clientele looks like, but their clientele looks like all of us. Their clientele are hard-working people that day in and day out must go to a food pantry to simply feed their children, people who aren't making enough working full-time to care for their families. That has to change. It's not right. It's not acceptable. We in New York are a better place than that, and we have an opportunity to lead, and we have a great governor that understands how important this issue is, and so he's bringing this conversation to the public up front right now. Now, it's nice to talk about it. It's nice to have these conversations, but ultimately it's about action. And so each and every one of you in this room is going to need to reach out and make sure that this takes place in Albany. There's an opportunity for us to do something special. And when I talk of this, we don't talk about it lightly. I think you need to talk from a perspective of someone who's done something about it. And I want to make sure that I assure everybody in this room, every full-time employee of Ulster County, it's not a phased-in approach. They already make $15 an hour and have high-quality health care for their family and their children. Now, I thank each and every one of you for being here. This is a special place. As I reminded the governor as we pulled in, there is one fundamental challenge that we have, and that is we are blocking the road that my mother-in-law lives on. I'm going to pay for this in the end, by the way. But I would like to tell you, thank you for being here. I believe Ulster County in many ways can be a conscience, a true conscience on this issue. So I couldn't be more proud to be the county executive in a place that has that kind of conscience, that has the willingness to speak up and support the governor on this important initiative. And ladies and gentlemen, it's ultimately isn't about large groups, it's about one person at a time. And so it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce an individual, a worker, not a politician, an actual worker, Tamara Elizabeth. Tamara, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tamara Elzabear, and I am so happy to be here today. I am here for the same reason as all of you, to fight for a fair $15 minimum wage. This issue is very personal for me because even though I work 2 jobs, I can barely make enough money to support my family. In my first job, I am a certified nursing assistant. It is very hard work, but I enjoy it because I make a difference in people's lives. Yet, it only pays me about $15 an hour. So also, I have to work a part-time job as a private duty aide. The truth is that my 2 jobs don't allow me to have truly a decent living. Yet we are all, Yet we are all very hard, and they take up most of my time, so I don't get to spend much time with my family. I am struggling to support my family with a $13 an hour. Imagine how hard it has to be for somebody working, making just $9 an hour. Shouldn't every person who works hard be able to support their family? I think so. That's why I'm supporting Governor Cuomo in the proposal for a $15 minimum wage. To me personally, it would mean I could work fewer hours and spend more time with my family, or help my daughter with her student loans, or even buy presents for my grandchildren. And it is not just for me. A $15 minimum wage would mean a better future to working people and families across this state. So please give a big round of applause for the man who is fighting for fair pay for New York State working families, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Good morning, Kingston. First to Tamara, isn't she great? Let's give her a big round of applause and thank her for being here. To Mayor Steve Noble, thank you very much for today and helping organize. Congratulations on your election. County Executive Mike Hine, I am a big fan of Mike Hine. He has a progressive vision and he makes it a reality by making government work. Mike Hine. To George Gresham and 1199. 1199 has always been a great force for social justice in New York, and it's a pleasure to be with them today, and I thank George personally for accepting the role as the chairman of the Mario Cuomo campaign. It means everything to me. George Gresham. And it is a pleasure to be back in Kingston. This is such a beautiful part of the state. I have a long relationship from when I was HUD secretary. We did a lot of work together. Mayor T.R. Gallo at that time, God rest his soul. I spent a lot of fun days on Roundout Creek, and let me just leave it like that, fun days on Roundout Creek, Esopus Creek. It really is just a magnificent part of the state. We've done a lot of good work. We're going to do a lot more. We have something coming up called the Catskill Challenge this summer. I don't know if you've heard of it yet. It is an opportunity to highlight the region. Too many people in downstate New York don't really know how beautiful the Mid-Hudson is and the attributes that we have here. So we're going to have the Catskill Challenge, and we're going to have some fun and come up with some competitions and make some wagers. The mayor was talking a little smack in the recreational vehicle about how he thinks he's going to win all sorts of money at the Catskill Challenge. So we'll see. But let the young mayors, let them talk. Let them talk. County executive was just listening. George is going to come up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And this trip is a lot of fun. We have this great recreational vehicle that we have for this cross-state tour. You'll see it outside. You can't miss it, actually. It has all this writing all over it. They told me it was going to be blue and red. It's really blue and pink, which is nice, but it's different. A little loud for my style. But it's not really we're not doing a lot of recreation in the recreational vehicle. We're doing some recreation, you could say. And it's a recreation vehicle. We want to recreate the American dream. We want to recreate the New York dream. We want to get back to the values that made this state and this nation what they are today. We want to get back to the values that made us the success that we are today. Because we've lost our way. We really have. This economy, the new economy, is a much different economy and a much different relationship than we ever had before. The premise in this country, the premise in this state was hard work pays. And we respect one another. And we support one another. And there is a relationship of decency among us. And this new economy is creating all sorts of wealth for a very small number of people. And disrespecting a large number of people. And taking opportunity and mobility away from a large number of people. We are creating jobs in this state. 7.8 million jobs in the state of New York, more jobs. Thank you. We have more jobs in the state of New York today than have ever existed in the history of the state. So the economic machine is working. But at the same time, you have that joke, I know about the new economy and the 7.9 million jobs. I have 3 of them, You have jobs at the top end for a select niche of skills and talent that make a lot of money, and then a devaluation of the majority of the jobs. And the American worker is being left behind by this economy. That's not rhetoric. That is a fact. That is a true fact. We have the highest income inequality in history. We have the greatest polarization of wealth in history. We have the largest disconnect between the worker's pay and the productivity of the worker in history. Up until about the 70s, productivity would increase, and as productivity increased, wages would increase with productivity. 1950 to 1970, productivity went up 90%. Pay for workers went up 90%. From the 70s till today, productivity went up 75%. Pay went up 9%. 50 years ago, a CEO made about 20 times what a worker makes. Today, they make 300 times what a worker makes. That polarity, that disconnect is what you feel out there. And we had more of a compact as a people where we said we'll work together and we'll support one another. And we understand that the greatest success is shared success. That was the motto of the country. That was the operating paradigm. It's not the first time this economy has shifted. We've gone through worse economic shifts, Great Depression. FDR showed us the way forward. And what was the way forward? In one word, it was together. Social Security. We are a society. We want to provide security for all of us, Social Security. We're now at a place where we have social insecurity, a sense that you are on your own. And if you get into trouble, you are on your own. And don't look to your left and don't look to your right, because it's all about you. And you get what you can for you. And you're an individualist. FDR set the minimum wage, respecting the decency of labor for everyone. Just the honor of work, the dignity of work. The minimum wage was not a wage that said, this is an amount that you can scrape by. Minimum wage, he said, FDR said, was the wage necessary to provide a decent living. A decent living. And the fuel that made this country, and this state, was the aspirations that George was talking about. It was more the idea. It was more the dream. You could come to this country from anywhere on the globe, and you could be anything you wanted to be. You came to New York because you had big dreams, and you knew that in New York, those dreams could become a reality. George's parents came up from the South. We need opportunity. Where do you go for opportunity? What's the state of opportunity? We're going to New York, boy. That's where this can happen. My people, my grandparents came from Italy. They had no opportunity there. Where were they going? They were going to America. My grandfather, God rest his soul, God bless America, he used to say. God bless America. You could go to America and you could be anything you wanted to be. And who came? Not the rich people. The rich people stayed where they were because they were rich people. The only people who got in little boats and went across an ocean when they couldn't speak the language and didn't know where they were going and were going to have to sleep on a cot, those were poor people. And we said, that's fine. Statue of Liberty, Emma Lazarus. Give me your tired, give me your poor. She didn't say, give me your rich. She said, give me your poor. And we said, you come here and we will work with you together. Forge one community, one family, and you can make it. And we will treat you with respect and decency, and you do what you can, but we're going to reward your work. That's what we have to get back to, because that's what we've lost. And that's why you feel the difference in the chemistry, in the air. You feel the difference in the energy. You can see it on people's faces. They don't believe that the future is necessarily going to be better for them. They don't believe it's going to be better for their children. It was supposed to be that every generation does better, that your children get a little more education, they get a better job, they make more pay. They're not sure of that. So, what do? We act, first of all. We analyze, we talk, we commiserate, we plan, but then we act. 2 specific actions. Number 1, raise the minimum wage to $15. Do it today. Now, why $15? Because the minimum wage, which we raised in the state of New York to $9, federally it's $7, but $9, $18,000 a year. You can't live on $18,000 a year. You do the math, it does not work. You can't pay rent, clothing, food, expenses for $18,000 a year. Well, where did you get 15? And you'll hear the opponents will say, oh, well, that's too high, 15. You know where we got 15? If you go to the 70s, which is really where this quote-unquote new economy started to break and started to materialize, you go back to the 70s, you take the minimum wage in the 70s, and just index it to inflation, you wind up with our $15 proposal. And that is fair. Take the minimum wage from the 70s, index it to inflation. And then, because this is going to be a fight, George is exactly right, you're going to hear the opponents spout that great conservative doctrine that the government shouldn't interfere with the workplace. The government shouldn't interfere with the marketplace. And setting the minimum wage is interference. Really? Well, here's the truth. Minimum wage has been set in law for decades and decades on both the federal and the state level. Number two, you want to talk about interference in the marketplace. What is now happening is a fraud and a scam on the taxpayers of this state. Companies pay a minimum wage. We just went through this with the fast food industry, McDonald's, Burger King. McDonald's pays a worker the minimum wage. That's $18,000 a year. At $18,000 a year, you are still below the poverty level in the state of New York, which means you qualify for government benefits. So that worker comes to the state of New York, we give them benefits of about $7,000. So McDonald's pays $18,000. You, New York State taxpayers, we pay an additional $7,000 for a total of $25,000. Interference in the marketplace. This has us subsidizing minimum wage workers, staff people for McDonald's. Why are you asking taxpayers to subsidize McDonald's workers and Burger King workers and fast food workers? This, like so many of those conservative doctrines, is the greatest form of hypocrisy. When we're subsidizing the corporations, that's fine. Subsidize McDonald's, subsidize Burger King, which, by the way, make billions of dollars, and they never said a word. Have you ever heard a conservative stand up and say, well, hold on a second. I want to stop these subsidies to these big corporations. By the way, you know how much our subsidies are just to McDonald's and Burger King in this state? $700 million per year. Have you ever heard anyone stand up and say, I want to stop that giveaway to those big corporations? Not a word. But now we say we want to raise the minimum wage for the worker who can't get by, and now we're interfering with the marketplace, but not when it was a corporate subsidy. That's the hypocrisy that is all through this conservative movement. Second thing we can do, because it's not just about the money, it's about the respect, and it's about the power relationship between the employer and the employee. Because the employee in this economy, in a low-wage job, is often treated like a commodity. And you don't have that same relationship with the employer and that same respect with the employer. So if something happens in your life, something happens in your home, and you go to your employer and you say, you know what, I have a problem at home, I need a few weeks off to take care of something. The employers, many employers will say, you know, you need a few weeks off? Take a few weeks off. By the way, take another few weeks off, and don't bother coming back, because I'm just going to get another employee, because there's a long line of people who will work for these jobs. That respect, that ability to work but also live your life is important. And that's why the second piece of this is paid family leave in the state of New York. And this, my friends, because this is about quality of life, it's about who we are, it's about leading a life that you're proud of, and celebrating life on both the positive and the negative. I just went through a situation last year where we were losing my father, and we knew we were losing him, and we knew there was a limited time left, and that's the time in life when you should be there. It's just the right thing. There's still a right thing in life, and you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your chest. The right thing is to be there. And for what purpose? No purpose. The purpose is just to be there, to hold a hand, to smile, to say, I love you. That's the purpose. And in some ways, it doesn't even matter all the years before. Those 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, that's everything. That's everything. And I kick myself, frankly, for not being there more, for not spending time, for not prioritizing. Everything was more important than this crisis and this crisis. It's all baloney. That was what was important. And every worker has the right to be there at those times, and you shouldn't have to choose between being broke and quitting your job and doing the right thing by a family member. Now, this is not going to be easy. $15, our proposal, is the most aggressive proposal in the United States of America, and I'm proud of it. Our proposal for paid family leave is the most aggressive proposal in the United States, and I am proud of it. Why the Mario Cuomo campaign? Because my father was a very simple fellow at the end of the day. He was all about principle and all about fighting the good fight for principle. This is about principle. This is about who we are, what we believe, what we want to be as a society, what we want to be as a state. This is about morality and humanity and decency and us saying, we are one at the end of the day. And we're not going to be polarized. We're not going to be separated. We're going to be unified. That's what we are about in New York. And we're going to come together, because when we come together, you can't beat us. And we know there's opposition, but we're going to fight the good fight, and we're going to win the good fight. Because we're going to go all across this state, and we're going to unify people, and New Yorkers unified cannot be defeated. And we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Thank you, and God bless you.
If you weren't inspired to do something before, you better be now. I want to thank Governor Cuomo, George Gresham, Tamara, County Executive Mike Hine, and all of you for coming to Kingston today to talk about this important issue. And I know, and I can tell you, Governor, we have an amazing city. We have amazing people that work here, that live here, that are going to be our grassroots organizers to get this message out to the non-converted and let them know that we are going to fight for 15. Thank you all very much for coming today.